So, thank you. I've been thinking about this moment for many years. And then I talked to Pastor Vinny the other day, and I was like, gonna just kind of speak off the cuff. And then last night I started writing some bullet points, and then I eventually wrote everything out on paper. And I have a friend who gave me this magnet for my office that says, hold on a second, let me overthink this. So I actually do this quite a bit these days. I speak about 6 hours a week. Although my groups today are mostly people in the early stages of recovery from alcoholism, addictions, and co-occurring mental health disorders. I would like to start by giving thanks to God. He has really given me a life beyond anything I ever thought possible. I would like to thank my mom for her years of love and sacrifice and belief in me. I also have a very loving family, including Dick and Liz, and without which this trip up here would not have been so great as it's been. I want to give a shout out to my new friends, Lyle and Kathy, who took us on a wonderful drive to Tahoe yesterday as well. Thank you, Pastor Vinny, who allowed me to take this time and for a great conversation the other day. Every once in a while, you get these conversations and you just kind of feel God's presence, even over the phone. So last but definitely not least, I want to thank those who have served and are currently serving in our United States military. I thank you from the bottom of my heart that I can be blessed with so much. I know there are a lot of places in the world that do not enjoy the liberties that we have here. Again, I want to thank Liz and the Lincoln United Methodist Church for their correspondence with me while I was incarcerated from the years 2002 through 2013. It's been on my list to come up here to Lincoln to share this testimony since around 2007 or 2008. My desire today is to relay a message of planting seeds, prayer, service, and God's redeeming and restorative power. I'll start with my good early childhood with my mom, my dad, my sister, sports, camping, activities, vacations, etc. A normal kind of good childhood. I'll move quickly to when my life kind of took a turn when I was about 10 years old. This is the time when I became aware of my dad's addiction. He's better now. He got clean and sober June 1st, 2007. I got clean and sober October 31st, 2007. My parents also got divorced at this time, which is probably strongly correlated to his addiction. However, this is also the time that I became aware of Jesus, and I asked for him to come into my life. God has also began to reveal himself to me at this time. My parents got divorced, and my grandparents, I went to Christian school for the 4th and 5th grades. So the seeds really began to be planted then. I gave my life at a young age and really became a believer then. Moving right along to 13 years old, living in a single mother home, I began experimenting with alcohol and marijuana. As a husband and father to an 8-year-old girl and a 4-year-old girl today, it's only been recently that I've reached out to my mom through text or randomly, and I'm just like, thank you, Mom, and I'm sorry for being such a fill in the blank. Because it's a lot of work, even with 2 parents, and I'm just very grateful that she just did everything that she did. Staying on track with the timeline, at 16 years old, I began a 15-year roller coaster with alcoholism, marijuana addiction, meth addiction, heroin addiction, and issues with the law. I started having some legal issues pretty young. Jumping through some serious periods of drama and landing at 25 years old, there was arrest and trouble and issues at school and all that stuff. At 25, I found myself landed with what would end up being 12 years in the California Department of Corrections. I would like to also say a quick thank you to the judicial system and the CDCR. Without this intervention, I feel like I would probably surely be dead, as unfortunately, many of my friends are. During the first 6 years of my prison term, my alcoholism and addiction escalated. I don't know how many people are familiar with, there's lots of alcohol, lots of drugs. There were many instances where I could have or should have received longer sentences, life sentences, great injury, and or death. I now see the Lord's hedge of protection around me and a desire for a greater purpose in my life. In around 2003, 1 year into my prison term and 4 years before I got clean and sober, so this is before I got clean, this is when the term first began, I began receiving notes from Liz and printouts from the Lincoln United Methodist Church offering me prayer, hope, and the Word of God. And I read these regularly. There were many times, even while under the influence, that my heart was convicted, and there were surely seeds being planted at that time. In 2006, in prison, I had a medical issue, an abscess in my arm related to IV use. It can be very hard on the body to do that. At this point, I did, I guess, what they call a 911 prayer to God. Get me out of this, get me better. And ultimately, I put down needles at that time for good. However, I would continue on with an OxyContin addiction for another year. And then finally, after saying I would never do heroin again, I ended up doing it one more time on October 30th, 2007. On October 31st, 2007, I had 6 years left on my prison term. I woke up and my spirit was broken. I mean, it wasn't really an awful, prospectively, it wasn't an awful type run with addiction, but it was just that time where I woke up and I knew I couldn't go on anymore. And I remember in that moment of desperation, I cried out to the Lord, and I said, Lord, I can't go on. And the Lord let me know that he was always there, that I just needed to surrender, and then I needed to take his hand. Thank you to a gracious and loving God, to a loving family, to those who have served and are serving in our armed forces, and to the Lincoln United Methodist Church for your faithful hand when I needed it most. That's about it as far as what I wrote. I guess I'll close with saying that, as this is what I do mostly, so I'm more comfortable talking. I deal with a lot of people and families, and as addiction and alcoholism and mental health disorders have become less stigmatized, I see that, at least it's been my experience, that it touches mostly everybody's life in one way or another. So what I've learned, through Lincoln and, through other experiences is that prayer and the service, that takes place of reaching out and being that loving light of God. Just because of, I work for like a state entity, so I don't get an opportunity to say Jesus, so to speak. I have to kind of keep things, at a level where I'm hitting a population and not upsetting anybody. But nonetheless, I try to live my life in a way today that honors God, and that hopefully people are able to see God's love and light in and through me and through the service. And then if they ask me a question, then I'll for surely take an opportunity to say, you want to know how it really gets done? This is how it gets done. So I just want to thank you all for the church, for being there for me for all those years. Thank you.